at some point, I was working 2 jobs, trying to play shows on the weekend. It was really stupid. And I think even Adam Carolla one time even said, like, I was listening to Loveline on my way to my job where I drove a forklift in a warehouse doing Christmas gift baskets, you know. And he was like, because Travis Barker was in our band from Blink-182. I don't know if you know that. Travis
drummer,
Barker,
yeah, sure.
super,
did the reality show,
mega superstar.
Yeah.
Travis, was in our band first, so
right.
he was wearing dumb costumes and acting like a fool before he became a giant rock star. And he's a rad guy. I like Travis a lot, but I think the Aquabats looked like they were just done. And this was like early 2001, 2002, and I was driving to work one night, and Adam Carolla was saying to another band, he's like, you know what? Whenever I see something that fails, I file it in the A file, A for the Aquabats. Because there was a band that looked like it was going to do something, and they suck. And I was like, I had 2 kids, and we were managing apartments, and we were pretty poor, and I'm driving to get to my forklift to work all night, and I was like, that SOB. Yeah. But I was still getting those positive results,
right.
And stuff like that. It's got to drive you. Like, if you believe in something and people are going to pee on it, sorry, my kids are here. People are going to put you down for something in your mind is going to work. That's got to drive you. It can't hold you back. Like, you just got to go for it. And so it took another 10 years, but so anyway, that was one of those like milestone moments where I was like, okay, I'm not going to give up on this idea.
Yeah, you're not going to let Adam get the best of you.
Right, and we had to deal with Fox at that moment, and a couple months later, it was done. They didn't want anything to do with it. So I started thinking about it, and one day I was watching television with my daughter. She was 2 at the time, and we were watching kids shows, and every time like Barney would come on, I would turn the channel really quick, and because I wasn't going to let her watch that, like, because it drive me crazy, And we watched Sesame Street and all the shows, and then I just started watching like the Wiggles and some of these other things, and thinking about my opportunities that we had with the Aquabats, like the Wiggles, that could have been us, it could have been the Aquabats, and like, and it just kind of hit me as we were turning the channels. I think I channeled past MTV, and I think it was 50 Cent, like. That song, his first big
in the club.
It was in the club. Wow! And I channeled past it, and I stopped for a second, and I noticed my daughter. She was just playing with her ponies or whatever on the ground. And when that beat dropped, she stopped what she was doing, and she looked at the TV. And then, of course, it was like something like this was going on, and I had to turn the channel, like, whoa, hey! But then I went around the horn again because I'm a man, and that's what men do.
Oh, yeah. Quickly as you can.
So we went around the horn again and got to MTV, and there it was again in the club, and my daughter stopped what she was doing, and she was like, because the beat. Yeah. And then I was like, whoa. And it was like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He like jumps out and like starts making the Devil's Tower out of like mashed potatoes and stuff. Like, so I started breaking out like my old hip hop records, like LA Dream Team and like Debbie Deb and all that, the 80s dance music. And I started playing stuff for my daughter, and she was like totally into it. She liked it because it was that like simple beat, like the simple repetitive beat. And I noticed that was something that was lacking in kid shows, was like good music. And not that like a piano and an acoustic guitar are bad music, but it just felt like there was nothing that really spoke to our generation that grew up in the late 70s, 80s, during punk rock, during hip hop. There was nothing like that being presented to our kids. And so I got on the phone with Scott. I'm like, Scott, I got an idea, dude. Let's do this. And I got together, and it's like, we're going to use old school hip hop beats, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And Scott was like, yeah. And Scott was like, and we could get Biz Marquee on the show, and he could, do the Biz Dance, which was like one of his songs, like put your hands behind here, like, well, yeah, that's it. So we just got this crazy idea.
Well, a lot of those characters, you guys, I mean, you had similar versions of them in the Aquabat stuff.
Yeah,
like
and that was the
music
other
videos
thing.
And all sorts of things.
So we had built some of the costumes, like Muno, the big red cyclops who you see on the Kia commercials. Like, he was a character that I had been drawing since high school, and we built a couple versions of him for the Aquabats. So he would come out on stage and like knock us over while we're playing. Travis Barker's playing a beat, and he'd come and kick him in the face and like knock his drums over and like.
Why did he leave again?
I know exactly. Why would he not want to be on the show? I remember we were on the Magic Johnson show, the short-lived Magic Johnson show.
Really?
That was like our one claim to fame. Like the Aquabats were on TV, the Magic Johnson show, and Travis was, because when Travis played, he didn't ever want to wear the goggles. Because he's like, I can't see what I'm doing when I'm wearing the goggles. But we all knew it was because he was like checking girls out in the audience, and he couldn't see them if he had the goggles on. And we were on the Magic show. He's like, dude, I can't play with the goggles on. And
that was the breaking point.
Yeah, that was one of the breaking points. They're like, come on, dude. He's like, I'm gonna be on TV with those dumb goggles on. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. Because it's whack. Is why you don't want to do it, because it's totally whack. But anyway, I digress. So Yo Gabba really sprung out of like that, one of those moments that happened, and we'd been thinking about doing something that was like a little different for our kids anyway, and we were thinking about the Aquabats, but that was a big shift. It was a big shift. It was like, it really started with music, and it started with something for our kids. So if kids are going to respond to that music that way, you put in life lessons and how to treat your neighbor and how to eat your vegetables. You put in all those lessons you want to teach your kids, and put them over cool music, and it's simple. It's a simple idea, but it came from our more of our generation. So the influences in the art, in the music, everything was coming from that generation. So there's skateboarding, and there's like graffiti influences in the show, and stuff that you wouldn't really like think about putting in a little kid's show. Yeah. But it's very relevant to their parents. The parents that are watching this is like, well, this is like something I watched when I was a kid, and the Sid and Marty Krofft, obviously, like the inspiration, and Pee-wee's Playhouse, and all that stuff that we grew up watching. You just put it back into Yo Gabba. It sounds a lot more easy than it was, but we knew that going through the network system with Yo Gabba was going to be a bad idea. So because we tried it with the Aquabats, and it was just like we'd get to that moment where it was green light or red light, and it was always red light. And we also realized that we dodged a bullet in a lot of ways, because a lot of times when you develop something with a network or something, and they pay you money, so luckily we had the band to back us up. So if we would have come to Disney, let's say, with the Aquabats as an idea, and we weren't already a band, then they would have
won some of the IP.
Well, they would have owned the IP, and it would have gone away. But because we had already created as a band, and we'd sold T-shirts, we were able to kind of like escape once the deals were done, which we were super lucky that because we had no idea that that's the way it works, but that's the way it works. So we knew that we had to go independent with Yo Gabba Gabba, and we started pitching people that we knew had money, or I know this I'm taking too much time, awesome. but I think the South Park guys had done it that way. They did an independent short, and then it got on TV, and that's what we were thinking, like, let's do this independently, and totally thinking like punk rock DIY, like we don't need a studio, we can do this ourselves. And then right around that same time, YouTube happened. So it was like everything came together like really swell. And so we pitched a couple people this little demo that we shot, and they were like, you guys are crazy, what are you smoking? Which is always a question we get a lot too, but
But you don't smoke.
It might be residue, but there's some like some pores in my brain that I haven't released yet, but still, like we just thought, like, let's do this independently. So we got one of our friends from high school that went to business school, and we got our inner circle together. That was a strong team, and we went and made 2 episodes of Yo Gabba Gabba for, it was like $125,000.
Wow. Which
is pretty cheap for 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And got the costumes made ourselves, did all the music. Somehow Biz Markie was in town, and through MySpace we got a hold of Biz Markie, and just things really lined up. It was like the magic lined up. And it was just one of those things, like rejection, 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 rejection. At some point, the ducks have to line up, and they for Gabba it was like, it was insane. So we shot the pilot, and in our naivete, we sent out the pilot to all the networks, and a month later, we were like, they're not calling us back. Fools! You know, when we're not realizing that they have like a stack of like submissions on their desks, and we're just another submission. And so we're like, okay, we're gonna go plan B, grassroots internet marketing, and we just put up the trailer on YouTube, and one of our friends caught a hold of it, and then it went this way and this way, and then just went whew, and all the blogs picked it up, and then a friend of our friends is friends with Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite.
Sure.
And then he was working on Nacho Libre at the time, and he showed it to Nickelodeon. And then within like a month and a half, we had meetings with all the top networks. And you know, we ended up going with Nickelodeon, which was they're great people, and Brown Johnson, who they talk about her in the tipping point in the part we're talking about Blue's Clues. She's a super genius, and she's just like, we love your show. We want to license the show. We don't want to acquire it. And we were like, no, please acquire. We'll license it. And she said, we want to license it because I don't want our network to screw with the creativity of the show. We were like, what? Wow. Okay, yes. So, I mean, that was awesome. And so, and the show has been doing great, and it's. I feel like it achieved its objective, and that was to become a more of a refreshing feeling preschool show.
Yeah.
You know.